Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, the Executive Director of Rock Solid Families, and I am so excited about our show tonight, honey.
Oh my gosh. What are we talking about tonight?
Tonight's episode is about making memories. Making memories. It kind of gives me the warm and fuzzies.
What, with all of these traditions coming on?
Well, that and because we have a special guest, our very first guest.
Oh my gosh. And we pulled her from afar, right? I mean, this is not some local guest. We went way out.
Yes.
Out to Virginia Beach.
So we have our daughter-in-law, Katie Hutchinson, with us. So we're excited. So welcome, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, guys. Glad to be here.
To Rock Solid Radio.
Katie came in with... she drove our new child. Our new grand dog.
Yes.
Yeah, most people
baby.
celebrate grandchildren. No, we got a grand dog. This is not just any dog. This is a bull mastiff. And what is he, like 2 months old or 3 months old?
3 months old.
3 months old, and he's like 40 pounds.
Oh, yeah, he's
And
thick.
when he drinks and walks away from the water bowl, the entire kitchen floor is soaking wet with his slobber.
Yeah. He's not a clean drinker, eater, anything.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
But he is cute, and definitely everybody in our house is kind of like wishing
yes.
that we could have him for a little bit
honey,
longer.
this is funny because last week we talked about Veterans Day. We talked about honoring and celebrating. And
she should have been here for that, shouldn't
Shoulda.
So, but Katie's husband serves in active duty, and our nephew is actually in active duty. And so God love Katie. Her and our nephew's wife drove from Virginia Beach for a family wedding this week with a dog and a baby. And two soldier wives.
Yeah,
so,
I think for safety's sake, they had to put the baby in the dog carrier,
Yes.
right? That the car was a little bit crazy on the ride in.
Yeah, but it's that time of year where we start making plans for the holidays.
Yeah, and I'm going to be right up front. Okay.
Hey, two girls against one now.
I know.
know.
Be careful.
Listen, no, this is not anything about that. It's, everybody loves winter for the holidays. Let me just be straight up. I hate winter.
But you like the holidays,
I hate winter, and the only thing that gets me through winter are the holidays.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Because I don't know, the cold. I'm just a big wimp. I hate it.
It doesn't help that your two sons live in tropical locations.
Hawaii and Virginia. Hello.
Yeah, so definitely is more fun to be around there. But hon, first I want to have a disclaimer, okay? Because this time of year, some people say it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yes.
But for others, it's not. And
That's right.
If this time of year brings back bad or painful memories, please don't turn us off yet. We know there are many out there listening in Eagle Country who have lost a loved one, who the holidays bring back very painful memories of loss or hurt. Our friend Krista.
Can't share that tradition with that person any
I kind of want to bring up our friend Krista because she's a perfect example. She recently lost her mom to cancer, and she knew getting together for her Sunday brunches with her family was going to be really hard. And so she recently started a new memory, which I think this is so cool. It's perfect segue to what we're talking about. Krista dug out her mom's old recipes.
Oh, yeah.
And her coffee cake recipes especially, that she used to make all the time, and she spent the day baking with her daughter. Now, Katie, you and I should try this because
we should. I need some help.
Yeah,
there.
me too. We need our other daughter-in-law Lane with us. But she spent the day baking with her daughter, and she said it helped because it gave them something positive to do with the pain, with the loss. And I can see that being a new tradition for Krista and her daughter.
Yeah.
She took her pain and the loss and she turned it into a new memory for her and her daughter.
Right. And obviously it was the recipe is a good reminder, right, of something that her mom did that everybody obviously enjoyed. And every time they make that recipe, guess who they're going to be thinking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, or maybe your family is divided or even broken right now. So you would just love to crawl in a hole and wish for 2019 to come.
When's it all going to be over?
Yeah. So we get it. We know for some, even the word family or memories is a tough word.
Yeah.
And we just want you to know right now that we're praying for you. We are here for you. There is hope. for a better
Sure.
tomorrow, even if your today or your yesterday has been a painful one. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, when we started talking about the idea of family traditions, I couldn't help but to be thinking about Hank Williams Jr.'s song, It's the family, that.
What?
It's not a very good song.
Hank Williams.
It's a family.
you know Hank Williams?
I kind of laughed like I knew what was going on, but
Well,
not really.
It just
Never
came
heard.
to
I'm
my
guilty.
mind, but it's probably not something that I should sing here. One, because my
please.
voice isn't good,
No.
but the storyline
Spare
is
us.
not good about his family traditions. Our family traditions can be pretty goofy, can't they?
Yes.
The different things that we do, and people go, "Are you serious? You
Yeah,
really
why do
do
you do
that?
that?"
That's
Yeah.
strange."
Yeah.
But we kind of have to talk a little bit about what family traditions are,
Yeah.
why they're important, how to give them value, those kinds of things. Because I know certain families do certain traditions, and I go, yeah, that wouldn't float in my house. No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
we do some things that people go, yeah, I'm glad you do
Yeah.
that, not us.
And it
Yeah.
depends if you have boys or
Yeah.
girls. You
Yeah.
know, when we had 2 older boys, the last thing they wanted to do was go see the Nutcracker or something like that,
Yeah.
But now that I have a daughter, she
Yeah.
loves those kind of things or
Yeah.
things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what traditions are, right? So let's say, what are we going to do with our traditions? Why are they important? Where did they come from? A tradition is a belief or an action that we believe is important that we want to pass down to future generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Baby
Okay.
Hutch,
Yes,
the
Baby Hutch.
the dog.
Yeah,
The dog and my
Well, what's the
fur
tradition
baby.
there with the dog?
I don't know, but that's what she's got right
yeah.
now. So
Right, yeah. Oh, you're going to... so you're telling me that Hutch is going to start, cutting down Christmas
Yes,
trees.
of course.
Yeah.
We're going to
Doing
depend on
traditions
him,
with the
but
dog.
Yeah,
it's exciting
yeah.
because
Good luck with that.
we
Yeah.
have a new
Yeah.
family forming and we get to start our own little
Right.
beliefs and
yeah.
everything we want to
Right.
start and
Yeah.
keep and pass
Yeah.
down to
That
our
are unique
kids.
to you guys. And I know
Exactly.
some of the traditions that Linda and I do came from my family that I grew up with, and some come from Linda's family, and
Yeah.
some are unique
We created
to
on
just
our own.
Linda and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those are important.
Yes.
So, you need to protect those. You need to celebrate them. You need to share them, but you also need to remember why you're doing it.
Yes.
There's a weird story about a young woman who used to cut off part of the roast.
Oh, I heard this. You got to
Did you
tell
hear
the
this story?
What
Yeah,
is it?
this
She
is
used
just
to.
ridiculous.
This would be you, Katie, because I
Oh,
know you're
gosh.
learning how to cook and
Yes.
stuff. But so let's say that you watched me make this roast, and I always cut the one end off.
Okay.
Before putting it in the pan. And so you started to do that, and that's how you always made your roast. And, when you had a daughter, you started to show her,
Yeah.
and she'd say, Mom, why am I doing this? I don't know. It's because
Well, I just
Grandma
kinda
used
started
to.
doing it.
And so the story goes is that this young woman finally challenged and questions, like, why do we cut the one end of the roast off? Does it make it more juicy? Is
Is there
it
any
easier to
reason?
cut? Is there any reason?
Yeah.
And the story goes is that finally she traced it back to her great grandma who started to do it. And she said, Grandma, no one knows, why do you always cut the end of that roast off? And she says, because I couldn't fit it in my pan,
Something is
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the tradition was kind of meaningless.
No, it
Yeah.
just was practical, but
Yeah.
it had no real sense
Yeah,
to it.
no question. Nobody questioned it.
Yeah.
So it needs to be something that has
Yeah.
value.
It's reminders
Yeah.
of what is important to your
Right.
family.
Right. Yeah. So, if it loses that sense of meaning or importance, then maybe start a new tradition. If it's something that doesn't really appeal to your family, if something that Katie, for instance, Dad and I did that you didn't like or want to do,
Yeah.
then you guys form your new tradition.
Yeah, and traditions. What we find is obviously a lot of our holidays just are filled with old traditions. I mean, Santa Claus, right?
Yeah.
And
The Easter
Saint
Bunny.
Nick's,
Yeah,
Saint
Saint
Nick
Nick.
dropping stuff off, at your house, and all these different things, and they don't have value or meaning if they're not explained to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, Dad, why do we do that?
Right. Yeah.
And if you as a parent cannot fortify that answer, if you can't support that answer, eventually it's going to lose legs.
Yes.
Kids are going to be like, this is silly. Why do we do it? And so part of our responsibility in these traditions is not just to start them, but then to make sure that our kids understand what value was being was supporting that, why we did it. And if they don't value that or don't understand it, it's not going to be a tradition.
Right.
It's going to fall short.
Right. Yeah, and an important part of it is to involve the whole family. So, letting the kids be involved, whether it be baking the coffee cake or carving the pumpkins or cutting down the Christmas tree or making Christmas cookies. When you involve the younger generation, when you involve children, then it's something that they want to do too,
Yeah, I'm guilty of this, that whole idea of involving everybody and doing everything. But that first year you do it, it's all real cool and exciting, like going and cutting the Christmas tree.
Go do it.
This is great. And then, you get 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road and you're like, oh my god.
And it's sleeting.
It's sleeting. It's like,
Yeah,
0
this
degrees
day.
out. It's like, we have to go cut the Christmas tree today.
Aw.
And so it's important that if it's that special to you, that you treat it that way, that you bring the enthusiasm back in. Fake it if you have to, but your kids have to see the reason, the passion behind it. And sometimes as the tradition gets a little bit of age on it, we can lose our enthusiasm.
But you know what, though? It's funny because there's been times when I've wanted to get a fake Christmas tree because
No way. No, it's not
easy
happening.
No way.
out.
But our boys, now all 5 children, are like, no way. Like, we always go to Skyline afterwards, and we always did this afterwards.
Okay.
And, so it's one of those things where it's part of what they remember, and it kind of gives them some safety and security of this is what we do.
Well, what's funny is when they actually say, when are we going to cut the tree down this year?
Right.
When, they've been long gone out of the house, and we're thinking, wow, they still
It really
wanna do
stuck with
that.
them. Yeah.
Right,
And I know
right.
Zach is all for we're going to go out and get our own tree this year, even though we might not have much room for a tree. It'll be a little short
tree.
one,
Right, right.
but
He wants
That
it's
works.
important to him, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
important to me. So.
Yeah, I know that one of our traditions is videotaping our kids on
Oh
New
my
Year's.
gosh,
And
yes.
some of the precious videos that we have of the kids, we interview them every year. And I know, Katie, you've seen some of the
love
little
them
Zach ones
so much.
where he was talking about his favorite friends and his, what he wants to be when he grows up. And he's in first grade.
Yes.
And watching them now as an adult is precious. But this year, we're actually going to be out of the country, actually not out of the country, but
Traveling
on New Year's. And so the kids immediately like, but what about the videos? What about the
Yeah.
interviews? I'm like,
have
okay,
to
well,
do it.
we still have to do it. It might not be on New Year's,
We
but
can do it earlier.
Well, think about how that started, that video. I mean, we always get together with my sister and brother-in-law for New Year's. And we just, that was the time when video cameras, remember the big
the big
camcorders were
cameras.
coming out?
Yeah.
And then everybody was buying a camcorder.
8
And it was really
Yes.
more of, well, we've got to use this stupid thing. We've
just
got
got
it.
it.
And so we just thought it would be kind of cool. Hey, kids, let's run your New Year's
Yes.
resolutions. And let's make fun of you next year when you didn't achieve any of your resolutions. And so we did that with each of us. And we laughed so hard the next year when we watched them, like how much the kids had grown, how they
Oh,
were
my
saying
gosh.
words, how they didn't have teeth in their head or whatever it
precious.
was. And we're like, we're like,
You have
well, we've got to do that again.
got it.
Right, right.
And so, after 20 plus years now, we have quite a video record of their development
And their
Yeah.
growth
and their goal setting and who
Right.
they were dating at a
gonna be
certain
what-
time. and-
Professional soccer
Right.
players.
I'm going to join the NFL.
yeah.
Or the next year when they're like, well, I'm probably not going to be a professional soccer player,
Yeah.
so I guess I'll do
That was
something
Zach's,
else.
and he
Yes.
was like playing little lollipop soccer at the time.
yeah.
He didn't play after like 5 years old. But
And Nick was, I think I'll be a neurosurgeon.
Yes, what?
Yeah, what a nerd.
Okay.
What a nerd. But yeah, it
No.
was, and we laugh about that now.
yeah. So the question is, how are you making memories with your family? Again, we get it. If you have lost your family, if you don't live near your family, then make some new traditions and memories for you and whoever's with you, whether it be your best friend, whether it be your neighbor. Start something that you can say is a tradition that brings back happy thoughts for you.
Yes.
Yeah, traditions are awesome because of the marker, that year, that point where we stop and we have reflection on what's important, and they're based in values or faith or what have you. But they don't have to be a once a year, one-time shot.
At Christmas time.
Yeah.
At Christmas time. And I think some of us lose sight of really what the most important traditions really are. Like, how about this strange thing called a family meal?
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
You know, I mean, we used to have family meals like 7 days a week.
All the time.
But I have seen that dwindle down in most of our homes, in many of our homes. But you know what I have seen? I've seen a lot of families say, okay, we're crazy through the week, but on Sundays, we are going to have a big family brunch or dinner.
Yeah, it's a time to catch
and
up
everybody
with
kind of
everyone.
comes around the house and they hang out. All of a sudden, you can call that a tradition.
Right.
And
The
it's-
kitchen table is honestly one of the best places to make family memories and traditions, you know, whether it be the daily time, you know, dinner time. Katie's been experiencing that. The dinner time
Welcome to
conversation.
our
Time to
nice,
start
quiet,
questioning everyone.
peaceful home.
So how was your day? Why did you like it?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you're actually kind of mean about it. You don't like accept their blunt answers. Like, that's not an answer.
well, if they say no, I don't know. I'm like, yes, you do. Give me something to work with.
Right. But once you uncork that,
Yeah.
you know, parents, if you are not sitting around the dinner table with your kids and unpacking their day, you're missing a huge opportunity just to invest in them, to make memories. That's what they're going to remember.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my mom had dinner on the table all the time, and we sat around that table and we prayed together. You know, the family prayer is something that is being lost in our families, and that's a tradition that is so important. You know, I think, Hun, the powerful demonstration it has been for us when we gather all of your brothers and sisters and my parents and family around, and they're at our house or whoever, and Katie, you've experienced this, and we all grab a hand and we make this gigantic prayer circle, and sometimes you guys make fun of me because I want to step back and take a picture of it, but it's so powerful.
It is.
And it brings tears, you know, of just what we're praying for. Maybe it's the loss when we lost your mom and that time.
Yeah, that was really tough. But it now is an expectation.
Yeah.
So our family gets together multiple times through the year, and typically it's around food because that's what we like. But there's never a time now that when we get around that even those who don't initiate the prayer, they do initiate the hand-holding
Yeah, I
of
feel
the
part
circle.
of something.
Yeah.
It's family time, and it just makes you so appreciative to be surrounded by everyone that you love, and everyone's taking a second to just appreciate that time. I think that's huge.
And you know, we're at a point now where we've lost some loved ones, my mom and your grandma and people like that, and we take that time to remember those people because they had a huge influence in our
Katie
life.
didn't know it, but when she came into the family circle for prayer, she was stuck.
Yeah. No.
There you go.
Well, if you leave, we talk bad about you. So you really need to stick around.
I know, I gotta keep listening. What's
You
going
know,
on?
and even things like family hugs, you know, your family especially started this, and then my family kind of got into this, but, you know, we don't leave without hugging everybody.
Yes.
You know, it's almost like if today was the last day you saw them, you don't want to have any regrets.
Yeah.
You know, and so I love you, you know, even when the kids leave for school every day. I love you. Have a great day. Hugging them, you know, saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Gotta
Don't
get
leave
that
with any
last-
regrets.
You know, my dad says something every single time he leaves you. And now all of our kids repeat it. And it's every time he leaves you, he hugs you and he says, God bless.
God bless.
He does.
God
But he
bless.
says it with
gosh.
it. God bless.
God bless.
Yeah.
And, you know, now the kids, if he by chance misses or delays in his saying, they're like, God bless.
Yeah.
And so that is in them. And it's just a neat thing to be reminded
Little
of.
teeny traditions like that. Like, what's your bedtime routine for your kids? You know, do you, for instance, Merrill and I, and Katie, you don't know this because you're not in our room every night, but for the last 20 years, we have gone to bed together and we pray together.
Yeah.
And we pray for our kids. We prayed for you way before we had your name.
Before we knew
Before
you,
you knew who she
before
was
you
gonna
were
be.
born, we were praying for you.
Actually, almost close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, just that time, and, you know, hon, I don't know if you know this, but there's a statistic out there that says that less than 1%
Yes,
of couples who pray together on a regular basis divorce. What a tradition. What a
marriage proofing,
yeah.
divorce proofing
Yeah.
thing to do there. And that's we do talk about that stat often, and that once it becomes not just a tradition, but it becomes a habit. And again, it's a habit based in a value.
Yeah.
A value.
Yeah.
And Zach and I started doing that right when we got married, and I think it's brought us so much closer together because it's that time that we have together, just him and I, and we get to reflect about our days and just talk about.
It's hard to be mad at him when you're praying for him.
Exactly.
You pray your heart, and they get to see your heart too.
Yeah, they get to
when
see your vulnerable side.
Yeah, something's been bugging you or bothering an issue of some sort, and all of a sudden you're saying it out loud.
You are.
And maybe they didn't hear it all that day, and now they're going, oh.
Now they really
after
are
your
listening.
Prayer, they're going, well, what happened?
Yeah.
And now you have conversation.
Yeah. I know a lot of families love to do family vacations together where, grandma and grandpa will rent a house and all the kids and grandkids will come.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. Sorry, Katie. But,
Yeah.
having that opportunity just to gather around, whether it's always around Thanksgiving. I know my aunt and uncle used to have all their kids. They have 7 kids and their grandkids, and they used to rent a big house and have their Thanksgiving there. And so, whatever you can do to just bring family together.
This kind of brings up a thought of mine. When we get to this time of year where these traditions start to come about, you often hear people go, oh my gosh, I have to spend time with family,
the whole day.
with relatives.
Be careful, Katie's here all week.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so, are they going to be throwing the mashed potatoes across the table? Is there going to be a fight? And a tradition is different than just a meeting of the family.
Yes.
A tradition has value that exceeds what you desire for yourself. And so when you get together, and when I hear people arguing and bickering at family get-togethers, I go, how selfish is that?
How sad,
Yeah, how selfish is it that when you go to that family outing, that get-together, that your need or desire or your itch, whatever it is, trumps the value of being with family.
Selfish.
Yeah.
It's so selfish. And so one of my encouragements for all of you out there is put your personal issues aside. If your tradition was started because of family fellowship, because of faith, because of supporting a cause, whatever that tradition was, then that's why you attend that function. And if you can't put your issue aside to that, then that's maybe one that you shouldn't be attending until you can do that.
I will never forget your mom and dad divorced after 30-something years of marriage. And early on, we said, we want to be together on the holidays.
Yeah.
We want, and they put aside their pain, their hurt to come together. And, that was for decades. They would come and sit around the same table laughing and joking.
Well, they became best friends.
Yeah. And it was hard to remember that. And I'm glad I forgot that they divorced.
Yeah.
That they never brought that to the table. They never brought that to our home. And I was so thankful for that. Your mom and dad were just such an extension of grace, God's grace, and the way they treated each other.
And my mom
for our
prompted
sake of our
that.
family.
My dad wanted that, but my mom prompted it. My mom said there's nothing more important than getting his family together. And I want them all together under one roof. And so I want us to be able to do this. And so, and my mom had the reason to hold, resentment, and she let that resentment go. So that was another gift that she gave us.
That was a huge one. Yeah. So, for our family, the holidays are special times, and we know the holidays are approaching. We still, like I said, cut our Christmas tree down every year. But, you got to just think about, okay, what's the priority for the holidays? Is it buying a lot of stuff?
No.
Or creating memories. My sister-in-law has already said, don't buy our kids stuff. They have enough stuff. But create a memory. Take them to the movies. Take them to the zoo. Go get her nails, our niece's nails done.
My dad used to take me on ice cream dates.
Yeah.
When I was little. I'd get all dressed up, put on a little dress, and he'd just go take me and get ice cream. And it was something so simple. And that's what I remember.
Walmart and buying a toy.
I didn't have a phone. And the memories that are most important to me are the ones where there's no screen involved. It's just being with those I care about. So.
Yeah, and we fall prey to the idea that I have to get my kid a lot of stuff, a lot of material things, and they carry no value other than the price tag that's on them of dollars and cents. And so to replace that with a memory that I'm pretty much thinking that you're going to be elbowing Zach to say, you need to take your daughter out for a little ice cream.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah. But what's so funny is I have a little bit of my grandma in me. Her love language was gifts. So I always wanted to wrap up something, So I had to get creative. Like one year for Mackenzie's for Christmas, I got her tickets to The Little Mermaid. So I bought a little $1 coloring book with The Little Mermaid on it. And in there, I just got creative and made a little sign that says, hey, how about you and I go? So like the memory I wrapped. So you could still be creative, but make it about the memory, not the stuff.
Yeah, well, and we talked about the Christmas tree cut down. You know what's really kind of cool about that? You think you're all kind of special when you go out for the Christmas tree cut, like it's your family tradition. Guess what? That place, we go to Bowman's, right? Bowman's out past Batesville. We have for, I don't know,
30 years.
Almost 30 years total. And the place is filled with people doing the exact same thing.
So cute.
They're all living a family tradition. They're all taking pictures of their kids. Now this is the third generation of children dragging a tree up the hill or whatever. And again, we just want to encourage that it's not about the tree. It is about the value of the family for that day.
Yeah. So, let's just say your challenge. Let's talk about the challenge for this week.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's make it a special point to think about the tradition that you've got coming up in the next couple weeks. We got Thanksgiving.
It's a good time to launch one.
Yeah.
Right? It's a good time to launch a tradition.
Right. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be just about the holidays.
No.
We talked about the bedtime stories, the mealtime prayer.
Yeah, sure. The daily stuff is actually the stuff that is going to perpetuate that value in your child even more so.
Yeah.
But to kind of put a big exclamation point on what's important.
Right.
The holidays are a good time to do that.
But, hon, let's just be real. If you're listening out there in Eagle Country and you try to do this at home, your family might think you're weird. Like, Mom, why are we all around the dinner table having this conversation?
They kind of looked at me when I was asking all these questions.
But, even if it's something simple of what was your high today? What was your low? There's families out there that do that every day. And so they expect it. They even look for it. What is my high? What is my low?
Well, our younger one, well, what's the question of the night tonight? He prompts it and nobody else has even said anything.
When our older two were younger, we had family devotions, and we had a book that they would take turns. One would read the story and one would read the scripture, and they always would fight over who got what day. And then we'd talk about it, and it was really applying what the Bible says to our lives, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. Here at Rock Solid Families, we are about, as we've talked about, the foundation of our family is Christ. And so we challenge you this week that when you're thinking about the traditions that are out in front of you that you'd like to begin or that you're doing, if you don't have a strong tradition in your faith, create one. Create one, because it'll be passed on to your children that they can then move for generations.
That's what Rock Solid Families is all about.
That's what
the
we're
rock
about.
Of Jesus
so,
Christ.
Well, I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. Katie, thank you so much for driving into town.
I think Zach's going to be jealous when he finds out that you got on the radio before he did.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed you visiting. And as for now, we're going to say goodbye. And everybody out there at Eagle Country, have a great week.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
No, thank you.